They don't care. They love to just put them in all the chains and have them go like this.
Okay.
Hey.
Hello and welcome back to the Think RBA podcast. I'm your boy Hak, aka Ogida.
Oh, good.
Everything's okay here.
Everything is
And-
ooh. That's a new tagline.
Hey, and we got A.
Hey,
Yo, my man Ayo, aka Ken.
Yeah, that's good.
What's good? You tell me, man. How's everything in life?
Everything's good now.
Yeah?
Now that we about to talk about what we about to talk about.
Yeah, we're about to hit your wheelhouse.
Man,
This is you. This is all you.
can't wait.
Oh,
I'm
man,
excited.
but before we start, let's just remind y'all, remember to like, share, subscribe, ring that bell, tell a friend, tell a friend's friend, phone a friend, call a
Is this
lifeline.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Call a lifeline.
Hey, we're about to talk about Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
That's okay. That was smooth. That was Razor Ramona smooth. Okay, a little pat in the back.
So, sir, as that just started out, that kicked it off, right? We are going to talk about the draft. But
Yes.
before the draft, a lot of things have happened before the draft.
The draft of the National Football League, not the NBA, not any other league,
No, NFL.
not the United Football League or the XFL or
No. This is the official
Canadian Football League.
National Football League. Right? We went through some ups and downs, but we went through some monumental moments. The Super Bowl, right, where the Chiefs once again proved who they were and what they were about.
They stood on business.
They stood on business. So we had the Super Bowl, we had the Combine, we had a wild free agency.
Wild free agency,
right?
Especially for me.
Oh, especially for you. That's right.
Kirko Chains.
Hey.
Where does he go?
Cha-ching. Is he gonna bring the gritty with him?
I don't. He never did the gritty. He did.
Oh, he did?
Did he?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't good though.
Well, I mean, they don't care. They love to just put him in all the chains and have him go like this.
Okay,
Hey.
that might be the new one for him. He might be in the music video soon. ATL.
Oh, I'm like, wait till Migos get their hands on it. Like, it's over. It's
a wrap
over for him.
After that, and then we are here at that moment where it's the draft.
Yes.
The most anticipated of what does our future hold for us.
But do you know why?
Why is that?
Do you know why? So as a fan, because I know you can't relate to this. As a guy who has no fandom in any sport.
I have fandom to this. This is what I rep right here.
The RBA, the
That's what
Real
I rep.
Ballers Adjust.
Yes, sir. It's my jersey.
But having no fandom to a team.
I do. It's my team right here.
No, a football, a national
NFL
football
team.
team,
Got it,
a national basketball association
But I
team.
don't understand that language.
Exactly. So you just finished the season. You had just a little bit of time to kind of process everything that happened.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, it's the Combine. You kind of process after the playoffs. Now, if your team went to the Super Bowl and lost, then you're still probably processing 6-7 years later, 8 years later. But if not, I mean, you've had a little bit of time to process. Then boom, you jump into the Combine.
Right,
Start to get excited a little bit. Okay, well, let's watch. Oh, somebody just broke the 40 record. Okay. Now I want to see what team he ends up on. He's a burner. But like, you start to get excited again about the possibility. Who might my team get? But before I can even find out who they get, and a few weeks later, well, now we're into free agency.
Right.
Oh, now I can say, okay, who's my front office going to sign? How are they going to get better? So we were even as a Falcons fan, right? Like, the season's over, the Combine's happening. You're like, all right, are we going to get one of these young top quarterbacks? We maybe sign a veteran to help, or maybe keep the veteran we got and then just let him kind of develop and see. Roll the dice with a young guy. Then all of a sudden free agency hits and boom, you got Kirko Chains. Oh, that changes everything then for the draft.
Right.
So all of these events are leading up and building on each other to, is my team going to be a playoff team next year?
That's
is
the
my
ultimate
team going
question.
to be
It's the ultimate
a
question.
Super Bowl contender next year?
Right.
And there were a lot of teams. We talked about it a few episodes ago. You can see it in archives where we talked about NFL free agency and some of those teams that got really, really, really good. Houston, the Jets, on paper.
On paper.
That's
the key word.
On
right
paper.
there.
But it's all for the fandoms to, I'm excited again because now we have a chance, right? We have the possibility. And then if you get in in a one and done situation, anything could happen. Anything can happen. But you got to be able to get in. And so this time of year is pure excitement because after the draft is over, and from the time we're recording this, I think the draft's in like another week and a half or so. Mm-hmm. So we still got a little bit of time to go. But like after the draft is over, there's legit nothing.
It's just dead
until training camp. So you have from late April to basically like late July of just like dead. There might be some random transactions here. There's some people that get designated for like, they call them post June 1st cuts or something. Because if they're cut after June 1st, it's a different calculation of what comes off the salary cap, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But the point is like, there might be little things here and there. You'll get to see like your rookies will come in for rookie camp. You know, your vets will come in, hopefully for voluntary off-season workout programs. So you get to see some footage, you get a little, but like, it's really not enough to really, it's not enough to get the juices going.
Correct. Doesn't satisfy the taste buds.
Not until training camp. Right. Then you get into training camp, start to get into preseason games. Like, okay, now like football is just a few more weeks away. Right. But it's that downtime between April and July that's hard. Thankfully, for someone like me, the NBA fills that gap with playoffs. With the their draft, because their playoffs and draft will happen before the NFL before training camp. Right. So that fills kind of that gap for me. Okay. And then NBA free agency too is like right after the draft. In July. So that's why it's exciting. I know you wouldn't understand. So I just needed to break it down, and because I know that there's a lot of people out there that they understand what I'm feeling. I'm sure there's a cohort of other people who I'm in the minority. You were way in the minority. I know I'm in the minority on this, but I'm proud to be in the minority. I'm sure you are, and I'm used to being in the minority on a lot of things. So here we are, right? I'm in my comfort zone. You ain't gonna get me caught up. I'm in my comfort zone. You ain't gonna get me caught up. You got that privilege, my friend. Hey. So with all that being said. Right. And who's going to become a millionaire? Not who wants to be. Who will be a millionaire. Who will be a millionaire. Right. Caleb Williams is going to be a millionaire. Multi. So what are some of the key storylines that, you've been following, you've been keeping track of? Like you brought one up, right? Seems to be the automatic pick. Is there anything like that? Yeah. Maybe for Atlanta. And so that's what's exciting about the lead up, because there's always so much speculation and all the pundits and I mean, some years we don't quite know who's gonna go number one. Generally, there's a consensus around who will go number one. I mean, prior to free agency, there was questions about whether the Bears were gonna keep Justin Fields. Right? I mean, the only reason they have the number one pick, right, is because they traded it with Carolina last year, and Carolina for them to get Bryce Young. Terrible trade, but in my opinion. But nonetheless, here we are. Chicago got 2 top 10 picks in his draft. So the question was, with 2 top 10 picks, do you keep Justin Fields, and then maybe you take the first pick and trade out for somebody who wants Caleb Williams, and then you get for that first pick, you're getting a king's ransom. Yeah. So now you can take the 9th pick plus whatever else you get. In that trade, because you're going to get multiple first round picks, including another one in this round, and you just build up the talent around Justin Fields, right? Like that was the question: is what will the Bears do? Well, then we progress through free agency, and they trade Justin Fields to the Steelers. Okay, well, there goes that. So again, it's like the stories and narratives evolve. As GMs are doing their thing, and the teams are preparing to figure out what is the 53 men that I want to put forward this year. So obviously the clear one is Caleb as the number one. I mean, that's easy. To me, the biggest narrative are the quarterbacks, right? I mean, it's a 3-man race with a 4th guy that's kind of been pushing up the boards, and JJ McCarthy, but you got Caleb number 1. But the question is going to be, who's number 2? Is it Drake May from UNC? Is it Jaden Daniels? He's the one I want. If he's like, could be like a Lamar type. That's who I wanted, but I don't see a way we get him, and certainly not with the 8th overall pick after you just spent $100 million on Kirk Cousins, right? Like
right.
It's crazy because back in the day, if you drafted a quarterback like that, if you drafted a quarterback number 8 overall, like it would be expected that they sit. They don't come into play right away.
Right.
And that narrative changed, years and years and years ago and now they rush them because people, actually heard the example because Cam Newton was just on Club Shay Shay and he was talking about how quarterbacks don't get enough time to develop nowadays and how if you go back, like Peyton Manning wasn't really good until his 3rd year. If you took Peyton Manning and put him in this day and age, he would have flamed out because he wouldn't have had the time necessary to develop. His first year in the league, he led the league in interceptions, right? And so, but again, it was a different league back then. So I think just where the quarterbacks are going to land, right? Because the top 3 teams all need quarterbacks, right? So you really have that question. Then also too, I mean, it's like an offensive explosion kind of draft. Okay. I mean, it's like you've got one defender maybe who's projected to go in the top 10. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So that was going to be my follow-up question is I know quarterback's always the prime, number one position. What other position outside of that do you foresee like a big movement in?
It's wide receivers. Okay. Because there's like 3 wide receivers there's 3 quarterbacks, possibly 4 projected in the top 10. Okay. And another 3 receivers. So you're talking about 7 out of 10 picks potentially.
With only one defensive player.
And the defensive player is getting mocked to Atlanta every time. Is Dallas Turner. He's defensive end. We need a defensive end. We need a pass rusher. So the logical mock is Atlanta goes for a position of need and gets the best pass rusher in the draft. But it's not a draft that's really heavy on elite pass rushers, right? So it's just like, okay, well, we're going to grab our pass rusher there, but everybody else is seemingly taking
all the offensive players.
Right. But if you look at so again, Caleb's almost locked into the Bears at this point. Commanders need a quarterback, brand new coach. Who are they going to pick? The Patriots need a quarterback, right? They traded Mac Jones to the Jaguars. So they got Brian Hoyer and Bailey Zappi under contract, right? Like they need a quarterback. So you've got 3 right there, which sets up beautifully at number 4 for the Cardinals to get Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver. I mean, he's supposed to be the best wide receiver, but then again, he went to the combine, didn't do any drills. He didn't do his pro day workouts.
Oh, wow.
So he basically just said, look, y'all gonna have to ask about me. Y'all gonna have to ask about me and come see me because I'm not doing any of these workouts. Wow. Which could end up hurting him. The Chargers are right there. They don't need a quarterback. So Cardinals don't need a quarterback. They just invested all that money in Kyler. Chargers got Herbert. The Giants are right after, right? And they got Daniel Jones. I don't know if they're going to invest in another rookie quarterback. Titans have Will Levis, who they just drafted 2 seasons ago. We have Kirk that we just signed. The Bears are back up again at 9. The Jets have Aaron Rodgers at 10. So like that first 3 picks are probably going to be straight quarterbacks unless somebody else jumps up. Now the Vikings at 11 are the team to watch. The Vikings are the team to watch for possibly jumping up and wanting to take one of those top quarterbacks. So if either New England or Washington were like, you know what, we're willing to sacrifice one of these quarterbacks for additional first round picks, it could happen.
Yeah, that's going to be my follow-up question was usually there's like some, blockbuster or some sort of surprise or trade that happens in the middle of a draft. Yep. And so you're seeing Vikings as a potential to kind of be part of that narrative or storyline.
Well, you could see the Vikings jumping up. You could see the Broncos at 12. Okay. Because they just got rid of Russ, right? They don't have a quarterback.
Right. Pittsburgh.
You could see the Raiders. Okay. Who have Devontae Adams, but they don't have they have a quarterback who played decently, but he was like a late round rookie, and then you look at Saints, Colts have Anthony Richardson they just drafted. Seahawks still have Geno. So I think most logically it's those 11, 12, 13 teams that would possibly jump up for a quarterback. And the thing is the Vikings have 2 first round picks. That's why I said like kind of keying in on the Vikings because they just made a recent trade and then they got the 23rd pick and the 11th. So could let's just say the top 3 quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the Cardinals and the Chargers both take wide receivers, right? Because the Chargers just lost Mike Williams and Keenan Allen.
Right.
So let's say the Chargers take another receiver. They could take a tackle too. Let's say the Giants could take one of those receivers as well.
And then trade him a few years later.
Trade him. Hopefully they'll have better luck. The Titans definitely could use a tackle. I think there's a Joe Alt from Notre Dame. I think he could get locked in there. Now we're at 8. And now you're in Atlanta, who you could potentially make that trade. So I'm okay. You want to come up to 8? You need to give me 11 and 23.
Right.
Or maybe 11 and a second round pick or third or whatever. Like
sure. Right.
They got to pay.
Yeah.
To jump up that many spots.
Okay.
To get JJ McCarthy, who's kind of like the 4th guy, and supposedly he's somebody that they really, really like. So knowing that some of those other teams don't need a quarterback, they could look at, okay, who's the first team that I can jump up with that's willing to trade back, but that's not going to get it. Because if I wait all the way, I mean, they might be able to even wait till their pick unless they get wind that somebody else is going to pick them up. But so there's a lot of different. If they get wind that the Broncos are going to trade up or the Raiders are going to trade up, that's how it usually happens, right? They get wind that somebody else is going to jump them, so they'll overpay to go up and get their guy.
And that's the really intriguing part of this whole process, which really amazes me. This is the part I enjoy because I don't know if you ever saw the movie Draft Day.
I love the movie Draft.
It's
unrealistic though.
Is it?
Oh, it's so unrealistic.
It's one of my favorite movies to watch.
Yeah.
And my wife doesn't care a lick about sports like that, but that's one of her favorite movies. It's mind-boggling. This is the thing about that day, right? Or that whole time frame is these tough decisions.
Yes.
And this mental gymnastics and hurdles and you're under a time limit. You got to figure it out on the go.
Right.
And these tough decisions. So, and then obviously you got 300 people screaming in your ear from one side. You got your, the fans on the other side. But you have to see what's best for the organization. Not for the fans, for the organization.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, and the thing is, though, that what you don't see and what they don't show in that movie either is the months and months and months of lead up to it. And they've been going through and reevaluating and moving around the books. They've got a board and it's kind of set and they kind of know who they would be targeting and what ranges so that they're prepared enough in a multitude of situations that if they need to adjust, if they need to be real ballers and adjust, then they can with the right offer that comes through. Okay, would it be good? If let's just say the Falcons, right? Would it be good at 8 to pick up Dallas Turner, who's the best edge rusher from Alabama? It would be. It'd be a good pick. Well, I mean, some Falcons fans might think it's not a good pick, but be a good pick, right? But could you move back to 11, 12, 13 and still get him?
Potentially.
Right? Plus, then you added another second round pick.
Right.
Or an extra third round pick.
Right.
Or maybe you don't get him. Maybe you get Jared Verse, right? Second best, right? He's still projected to be a top 20 pick. So maybe you don't get the number 1, but you get the number 2 plus an extra second round, third round pick, another first round pick next year, whatever the compensation is. So you can continue to grow and build your team the way you want to, but you continue to build and gain assets.
Right. And again, these are projections, not guarantees.
Correct.
So second best is just for now who can become the best at some point, right? You never know.
You never know.
And this is the part I want to ask you is a lot of these teams are based on months and months and months of projections, right? And assessments, only to come to this moment of draft day to make that projection. This is the best fit for our future.
Right.
Now looking hindsight, you see that, we missed out on so and should have picked so. These are tough decisions to make. Do you see something like that happen? Or has obviously many of those have happened? Is there one of those stories you think can come out of something from this draft? I know this is a future.
That one's hard to think about because we just don't know.
Right. So I'm asking you to make a future pick, I guess.
For me, I'm really partial to Jaden Daniels. He just won the Heisman, plays LSU. I just think his body size, his arm, his ability to run and escape, with the right coaching around him, I think he can become a legit monster. And he's already a monster, athletically.
Okay.
So could you say one of the QB needy teams not jumping up to get him? But again, they might not have the opportunity to do so.
Right.
Because if Washington or New England don't want to come off those picks, right? Like they're not going to get a chance to. Now, the one guy that I will say that teams could have a chance to get if they traded up, that they might regret if they don't, is Malik Neighbors from LSU, wide receiver. And just because, man, LSU's track record with wide receivers recently.
Recently.
I mean, you're talking about Justin Jefferson, you're talking about Odell and just all these guys,
Landry,
Jamar Chase, and can't forget Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase, right.
I was trying to think like who was the other recent guy. It was Jay Jettas and Jamar Chase, and like by all accounts, this guy is no different. So he could be a one that teams could have had. Like, I keep saying like, man, if he doesn't get taken up by the Giants or the Chargers, and I don't see us taking another wide receiver. Maybe the Bears would at 9, but I just keep thinking, man, if he fell to the Jets at 10, you imagine like with Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson already from a couple years ago, and then now you add in, or I think about the other guy that could be another generational tight end, Brock Bowers from Georgia.
Okay.
My love of Georgia. I mean, like Brock Bowers is a monster tight end. Another one that if they decide to pull the trigger at 10, man, to give Aaron Rodgers that kind of weapon, he loves his tight ends.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers loves his tight ends. And so you give Aaron Rodgers Brock Bowers, and my goodness, it might be. You talk about the Jets and how much they improved, they'll be really bad. So, like, I could see a couple of those players that I think are going to be really, really, really good. But, I mean, there's been some historically. So, like...
That's my follow-up, right? Can you share some examples of... So some diamonds in the rough and some busts, per se, right?
Well, so I was going to say about teams that are regretful.
Yes.
So, like, the most recent one that comes to mind for me is that in I think it was the 2017 draft. Yeah, 2017 draft. Number 10 pick. The Bills were sitting there. Number 10 pick. And they decided to trade back with Kansas City. Kansas City jumped up a bunch of spots to draft Patrick Mahomes. And now what Patrick Mahomes has continued to do to the Bills.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you talk about like, damn, had we just sat there, you know what I mean?
Right,
like,
absolutely.
That one to me like is the best example.
The Justin Jefferson story. Same with the Eagles.
Well, that's why a lot of, but again, he's not like beating the Eagles in the playoffs every year.
That's true.
So like,
that's true.
That's why a lot of teams don't like trading within the conference.
Of course.
Because
right.
Those things will come back to bite you. At least if it's the underconference, it's like, oh, well, like we might see him once every 4 years.
Right.
Like in conference, man, we could see him every year if we're both good enough or bad enough or whatever the case is. But I mean, oh my God, diamonds in the rough. There's always diamonds in the rough. So when we talk about these
every team that passed on to go.
Tom, right? I mean, you've got these other, you got so many guys. We have Brock Purdy, we talked about in a couple episodes ago too,
right?
With the fact that all of those quarterbacks in that draft are washed right now, with the exception of Brock, who was Mr. Irrelevant. So I'm sure in this draft that there's going to be some. I have no clue who those people are going to be at this point.
Okay.
And, you know, in 5-6 years, we'll probably be looking back and be like, damn, those were the diamonds in the rough. Now, there's some interesting names out there. There's a McCaffrey brother, wide receiver, I think Luke McCaffrey.
Okay.
Now, he had a brother before him that tried to make it to the league, was not as successful as Christian. Will this Luke be? I don't know. But he's
find out.
McCaffrey brother. You got Brendan Rice.
Jerry
Rice. You know, and while we're talking about family members, can I just pause?
Sure.
A little sidetrack for a second. Before we started filming, I saw something on X that apparently, so you know that Prime did a, forget whose podcast he was on recently, and he said that he only wanted his sons to play in a warm weather or dome. But apparently there's a list of teams now that these are the only teams that he is willing to let. Travis Hunter, who he was the corner, like the number one corner in the nation. He flipped from Florida State to Jackson State back in the day, followed him to Colorado, and his sons. Like handful of teams. Falcons are one of them.
Oh,
could you see Shador Sanders like once he'll be in his last year of his contract, and he could just learn under Kirk for a year, and then you imagine the Sanders name back on the back of another Falcons jersey.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Dion when he came back to Atlanta after game, I built this. This is my house.
I think that's where he really wants him to go.
Atlanta?
I really do. Yeah.
Hey,
but I think San Fran was on there. The Eagles were on there. There was a few others, but
okay.
I love Shedeur Sanders, man. So we'll see how next year goes.
Okay.
I will see how next year goes. But yeah, no, I think there's definitely some teams that it's going to be interesting to see how everything kind of plays out.
You foresee some players being a little overrated, maybe? I don't want to put you on the spot.
Well, I'm not really a Caleb Williams fan. I don't see it. I get it. He's got talent, but I've heard this before. Like people were saying,
you've seen this movie before?
Yeah, people were saying similar things about Jamarcus Russell, Jameis Winston, like all these guys who didn't really pan out. Even
you might have an unpopular opinion.
I don't know. I don't like he didn't have a winning record in college. Like it's not like he wasn't in the playoffs. I don't think he won a conference championship in the Pac-12, which is a weaker conference. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have the tools or doesn't have the opportunity. But again, like he also is going to the Bears, who, I'm sorry, don't have a track record of developing good quarterbacks. Name one Bears quarterback that they drafted and developed since Jim McMahon. Now, I'll wait because they haven't. Even the short period of time they had Jay Cutler, they traded for him. Probably the best quarterback they ever had.
Wow.
Kyle Orton,
wow.
Justin Fields flamed out. I mean, for them, he might get better in Pittsburgh in a different coaching system, maybe. I don't know. He still have a good track record.
Wow.
And so, but the opportunity is there. DJ Moore, they signed Keenan Allen, so he has weapons. They need to get an offensive lineman. That's why I think that they're going to target it the 9th pick, because he needs somebody to protect him. But I don't.
So you don't see it?
I personally don't see it.
Okay.
And I would not be like, if it were the Falcons picking there, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, we picked Caleb. We got Caleb Williams. I don't. I'd be much happier with Jaden Daniels.
Gotcha.
I feel like there's more potential.
Well, then with draft picks, how does this draft compare to the previous drafts?
It's very top heavy. Yeah, I'm really only looking forward to the first and second round. After that, it's kind of to me, I feel like it's hit or miss.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like the first round is gonna be a lot of fun.
Okay.
And then there's gonna be the second round where there's a lot of really, really good players that are gonna be steals because they're a lot of first round talent. But then I kind of feel like it starts to drop off.
A drastic just
midway through the second, 3/4 of the way through the second.
Okay.
And then everything after that's just gonna be wait and see.
Okay. Wow. As you look forward to the NFL.
We do.
What are you excited about? What are you most excited about?
Besides Atlanta?
Besides the first two rounds.
Besides the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And I'm always excited to see what my squad does.
Of course, naturally.
This is, we had a really good defense last year.
Okay.
We had a top 10 defense last year. Obviously, we have a new defensive coordinator coming in. He's never actually called plays in the NFL as a defensive coordinator, so we'll see how that goes. We have a defensive head coach in Raheem Morris, who was the defensive coordinator for the Rams when they won the Super Bowl with Aaron Donald and that crew. So I'm not worried defensively, and I think we'll get the pieces we need. And offensively, I mean, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Drake London. We already have a good offensive line. We had one of the top offensive lines last year too. We probably need a good, solid second receiver. We added some speed receivers with Rondale Moore and Darnell Mooney from the Bears. So I think offensively we're good too. So this is truly where we're in a spot where we can go best player available. We don't have to reach for any need. If they don't feel Dallas Turner is the best pick at 8 and that there's a better wide receiver, I know the fan base is going to go crazy because the last couple of years we did tight end, wide receiver, running back. If we want another wide receiver, it'd be like, are y'all not going to draft any defensive players? But again, we had a good defense. So we still have the possibility Calais Campbell comes back.
Okay.
And so that I'm excited for because it's not like there's any one particular guy we got to get.
Okay.
like last year, it was really like, God, I hope we get Bijan. Hope we get Bijan. Hope we get Bijan.
Okay.
But it was very up in the air whether we got him or Jalen Carter from the Eagles. So, Jalen Carter from Georgia who went to the Eagles.
Okay.
So I'm always looking forward to that. And I'm interested to see what the other NFC South teams do. Okay. Because I'm tracking to where I still feel like we're better than the Bucs. Even though the Bucs won, the Bucs won the division last year by 1 game over us with terrible QB play. So you upgrade that significantly, and like we should at least be 2-3 games better than them. Now my boy from college ain't gonna agree with me on that one, but
I was gonna say you call him Baker terrible?
I don't see he's terrible. He's just not as good as Kurt.
Okay.
Man.
Okay.
So. And then I'm looking forward to seeing how the better teams do, even though they're drafting later. Like, what does KC do to upgrade their team? Right? They lost their corner, L'Jarius Sneed. They need another corner. They could use another receiver. How do the rich get richer? Some of the teams that we said we're going to get better, like the Jets, have a top 10 pick. You got Aaron Rodgers coming back healthy. It's intriguing. Okay. Intriguing to me.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens then.
We will.
Draft day is upon us real soon.
Draft day is coming, my friend.
And I know you'll be glued to the TV.
We're gonna figure something out.
If you gotta figure something
especially
out.
For the first round. First round is.
All right, let's do it. Let's make it fun.
Yeah, let's
do a little watch party.
Yeah, we'll do a little watch party.
Little virtual watch party.
I'll let you. I'm gonna search for a guest.
I bet. Let's do it.
So it won't just be you and me.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Search for a guest.
Hey, we started the trend. Let's keep it going.
That's right. So speaking of fun, and I wanted to switch gears and make it a little more fun.
Sure.
So in the spirit of the NFL draft, we're talking about NFL draft and these players, and we don't know who's going to be good or good. Well, the projections, right? Right. Well, for this next part, we have the history now of hindsight.
Yes.
So what I went and I pulled 5 of the best draft classes in the last 20 years. Okay. Because we're coming up to, where it's been 20 years since 2004. So coming up on the 20th year. And that's since I graduated high school. It's crazy.
I feel old.
So I pulled out 5 of the best over the last 20 years. So I'm going to read out all 5. Okay. And who some of the key players were. Okay. And then after that, I'm going to have you take us down to the top 3. Okay. And we're each going to take one off after that. Okay. Sounds good. To get to what we think is the best draft class in the last 20 years. Okay. Okay. So let me just go in to make this fair chronological order. Sure. So I'm going to start with 2004. Okay. 2004 draft, which is a famous draft. You should know if I know you don't have a fandom, but this was a very controversial draft. Okay. This was the Eli Manning draft. Eli Manning, I don't want to go play for the Chargers. Right. I want to go play for the Giants draft. Your Giants. And they're always going to be your Giants. Okay. So 2004 draft, you had Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Big Ben. Right? Not just that in and of itself. That one, you don't even have to look up. Like, that was ingrained. I still remember watching that draft. Okay. Like, that's how crazy it is. That's how old I'm getting too. But on top of that, you also had Larry Fitzgerald. You had Sean Taylor. Rest in peace, Sean Taylor. You had Vince Wilfork, big Vince Wilfork, defensive tackle, long time for the Patriots. You had Bob Sanders, who's a long-time tough, hard-hitting safety for the Colts. Nick Hardwick, who was a really, really good center for the Jets for a long time. Jared Allen, who was a defensive end between Kansas City and Minnesota. I think he's probably more so known for his Minnesota days. Man, he was just a sack machine. And I added this last guy, Michael the Burner Turner. He started off, he got drafted in San Diego, but he came over to the Falcons in 2008. And because he was a backup to LaDainian Tomlinson, he drafted LaDainian Tomlinson in 2001. They drafted Michael the Burner Turner in like the 6th round or something like that. He was one of those diamonds in the rough, right? But LaDainian got hurt a couple times, and then he got a chance to play, showed that he could carry a running back one workload, and Atlanta picked him up the same year that we drafted Matt Ryan. Okay. So he became the starting running back Matt's rookie year. Okay. Couple 1,000-yard seasons, and he was a monster, especially 2008, 2009, 10. Like, Michael the Burner Turner was that guy. So those are some of the notable names. Okay. 2004, right? Okay. You got Eli, Phillip Rivers, Big Ben, Larry Fitz, Sean Taylor, right? If that's just the top 5 that you're looking for. All right. 2007, a couple years later, you had Calvin Johnson, Megatron. You had Joe Thomas, Hall of Fame tackle for the Browns.
2005, you said, right?
2007.
7, okay.
And man, Joe Thomas, like people, I know you're not like a deep football head, but that man was the best tackle in the league on the worst team.
Oh, Joe Thomas?
Yeah. He was the best tackle on the worst team, but like he was better than everybody else in the league in his position.
Oh, wow.
Patrick Willis, Adrian Peterson,
okay,
Marshawn Lynch, Darrelle Revis,
God,
Eric Weddle, who came back to play in the Super Bowl a couple years, but he was a longtime Charger safety. Ryan Khalil was a longtime center for the Panthers, and Marshall Yanda was a longtime really good lineman for the Ravens. And these were some late round picks. So again, Megatron, Joe Thomas, AP, Patrick Willis, Marshawn Lynch, Darrelle Revis. There's your top 5 right there. Okay, 2008, you had Matt Ryan. You know I had to go there,
of course.
But I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. Let's just not get it twisted. Joe Flacco, Super Bowl winning quarterback. They were the 2 top quarterbacks. You had, I'm just putting them out here, Gerard Mayo in the first round, who not only was he a longtime linebacker for the Patriots, he's now their head coach, the first black head coach for the New England Patriots. So he was in this draft. I got to highlight out Chris Johnson, CJ2K. Remember CJ2K?
Yeah, absolutely.
From Tennessee?
Yeah.
CJ2K. Jordy Nelson, who blew up in Green Bay, wide receiver. Deshaun Jackson. Calais Campbell. We talked about Calais Campbell.
Yeah.
And then I got to give a shout out to you and your Giants, your boy, Mario Manningham. You remember him? He's definitely not one of the top players, but he had that one catch in the second time y'all beat the Super Bowl, the Patriots. He had that one ridiculous over-the-shoulder sideline catch.
Oh, yeah.
That was Mario Manningham. So I was like, I got to add him to the list.
I got
to add him to the list.
Okay.
So that one wasn't as exciting, but I had to.
That was
2008.
8. Okay.
All right. So
we
now
have 4, 7, and 8.
So we have 4, 7, and 8. Now we're going all the way to 2011.
Okay.
We got Cam Newton. We got Von Miller. We got Patrick Peterson. Julio Jones, Tyron Smith, the longtime tackle from the Cowboys, Cam Jordan, the long defensive end from the Saints, Cam Hayward, longtime defensive tackle, multi-time Pro Bowler from the Steelers, Justin Houston, who was a pass rusher for a long time with Kansas City, Richard Sherman, who was out in, I think, the 5th round. 5th round, Richard Sherman.
5th round.
Malcolm Smith, who was also thinking about sticking with Seattle, Super Bowl MVP. Didn't really do a whole lot after that, but Super Bowl MVP. And I think a 6th round pick, Jason Kelsey.
Oh, wow. Okay.
2011.
Okay.
So these were all in order as I was scrolling through the draft. So that's why like Jason Kelsey at the bottom of the list means he was either a 6th or 7th round pick.
Okay.
So Cam, Von Miller, Patrick Peterson, Julio Jones, Tyron Smith, Cam Jordan, Cam Hayward. I mean, Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
That's a tough draft.
That is a tough draft.
That's a tough draft.
Okay. We got one more?
That's 11, 2 more. So we've got...
so we got 4, 7...
Oh, no, we have one more.
One more, right. 4, 7, 8, 11.
And then 2017.
17.
This one, I think it might be recency bias.
Okay.
But I'm just going to read down his name.
Sure.
Myles Garrett, Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Hassan Reddick, who's been an elite pass rusher, TJ Watt, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, George Kittle.
Sheesh. Bro.
Just to name, in every one of these drafts, there are a lot of other like good players who had long careers. Like these are just some of the highlights.
Right. Some of the
trying to pull out like
cream of the crop.
Yeah, just trying to pull out some of those or some that I thought had funny stories.
Right.
But like
okay, so yeah, and then 17. So for me, I'm pulling out 3.
So you're getting rid of 2.
Right, I'm pulling 3 out.
Yeah, you're pulling 3 out.
So I'm going to pull 3 out.
Yeah.
I want to pull out 7.
Oh, that was the one with Calvin.
Yes.
AP.
Yes. Can you remind me what 8 was again?
Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, CJ2K, Jordy Nelson, Deshaun Jackson, Calais Campbell.
11.
11 was Cam Newton, Von Miller, Patrick Peterson, Julio Jones.
That one. 11.
Okay.
And 17.
So 7, 11, 17.
Yeah, next round.
Wow. So hold on a second. Pause. Timeout. Eli, Rivers, Big Ben, Larry Fitz, Sean Taylor.
You asked me to do it.
Wow.
This is what happens when you put it in the hands of.
So Eli won multiple Super Bowls. Big Ben won multiple Super Bowls. Okay.
I was never excited by those guys.
Wow.
Even though they won.
Sean Taylor?
I didn't get to see him play long.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's I guess I'm
so much potential.
such a different perspective because I did. And I'm just like, man, okay.
I feel like he had a very short, obviously, like for unfortunate reasons, a short-lived career.
Okay, so we're taking. Okay, so we have 7, 11, and 17.
Yes.
Okay, so if I had to get rid of one, it's got to be 2007.
Okay.
So that's Calvin, Joe Thomas, AP, Patrick Willis, Marshawn Lynch, Darrell Revis.
Wow.
I know. So it leaves us 11 and 17.
Okay.
You want me to read them again?
Yes, please.
For all the marbles, because I want this to be a really good short. So for all the marbles, the best draft in the last 20 years between 2011, Cam Newton, Von Miller, Patrick Peterson, Julio Jones, Tyron Smith, Cam Jordan, Cam Hayward, Justin Houston, Richard Sherman, Jason Kelsey. Or 2017, Myles Garrett, Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Hassan Reddick, TJ Watt, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, and George Kittle.
It's too easy now. 17, man.
17.
It's too easy.
So you think that 17 will project out more Hall of Famers than the rest of these?
Yes.
Because a lot of these are still not even eligible for the Hall of Fame yet.
I know.
There's a lot of Hall of Famers that you just pushed to the side.
I know.
2017.
But see, I'm different though. Like I don't look at Hall of Famers in that sense. Like from a basketball, let's go from like basketball. Like I don't look at, for example, like T-Mac. He's not on his top 75. That's preposterous to me. So similarly, like for football, if I see you and you excite me, and right, I'm looking at that. I don't care what the non-player pundits who never played the game of football at the professional level have an opinion of you. So I don't care about that. So that's why, like, for me to put somebody aside, these guys excited me. Right. And then you got these names you just read off, like on 17.
Yeah, 17 is tough. I can't lie.
Bro, it's stacked.
I can't lie. So, well, that was fun. It was fun. I am very curious to see what y'all would do. So,
oh my God,
let us know if there's a year that you think has been better in the last 20. So from 2004 to 24, if you feel like there's been a draft year that's been better than 2017, put it in the comments and let us know.
Yeah.
And with that, as always, we want you to follow, like, subscribe, ring the bell. So we'll continue pushing these episodes out and you will get notified as soon as it drops. It'll be like ding. And the episode will be there.
Yes, sir.
And
episodes, shorts, all that.
All of it. And so until then, peace.
Peace.